Hey, Carrie, thanks for joining me today.
Aw, thanks for having me, Meg. How are you?
Oh, pretty good, trying to stay cool in Arizona.
Oh my goodness, I can't imagine. We're freezing up here in Michigan, so maybe we can meet in the middle.
Right? We're like clearly on opposite sides of the spectrum right now, but
For
I'm,
real.
I'm so excited that you're able to join me today. You are one of our fabulous speakers for the Become Influential Virtual Summit, which is happening June 8th through 12th. And you're going to be presenting on Thursday, June 11th, which is our day dedicated to marketing. And you're going to be speaking about, of course, your area of expertise, which is public speaking. So I would love to learn about your background and your journey and how you became a speaker yourself, but also a coach and a mentor for others who are taking the similar journey.
Well, I have always done speaking. I think my first memory of doing it actually professionally, if you would call it that, is back when I was about 15. I ran in a local pageant. I became our county's fair queen, and I spent the next year representing our county all across the state at different festivals and parades and gatherings, and I did a ton of public speaking. I got to promote our area. I got to promote the fair itself and talk to people wherever I went, and I loved it. I ended up doing another pageant after that. And when I went away to college, my degree is in political science and psychology. And so with political science, it's all public speaking, it's all debate. It's all thinking about what words are going to inspire people or what words are going to influence people or persuade people. And I just loved doing that. I went off to law school after that and got a year in before I realized I really only like the speaking part. I didn't want to have to do all of the rest of it. And so I dropped out of law school, had two kids. And then when I was pregnant with our third child, that's when things kind of changed for us. I had been a stay-at-home mom all this time. I was homeschooling the two kids we had. And then when our son Maverick was born, he was born with a rare bacterial infection and he almost died. We spent several weeks in the NICU with him. We didn't know if he was going to make it. And when he finally came through that and we were on the other side, people started asking us to share our story. And so my husband and I traveled around the United States and Canada telling our story of that situation, kind of how we got through it, how we used communication through that, and just kind of as a faith thing, as a inspiring thing, telling people if we can get through that, you can get through tough things too. And so we did a lot of traveling with that, did a lot of speaking with that. And then when I got pregnant with our twins, we knew we couldn't keep doing that. And so that's when we looked into bringing our business online because we couldn't keep traveling as much with 5 kids, 2 of whom were newborns. There's like 2 years of my life I don't remember because those babies were so crazy. So we started bringing everything online, and it has really evolved from there, as most people's businesses do. We started with a blog and we did some more speaking here and there, but then we really started teaching online and working with other people who wanted to do speaking online from the comfort of our own home. I'm homeschooling all of our kids and working from home. So most of the time I am in pajama pants and a decent top. So I look professional from the waist up. And that's the beauty of it. We have the internet to work through. And so that's what we're doing. We work from home for the most part. And now we're much pickier with the speaking that we do that requires travel.
Now, I know right now we're in the middle of this crazy pandemic, but you're a typical homeschooler, right? Like you're not a crisis
Yes.
schooler. Like this is.
No, I've always done it. Our oldest daughter is just finished college now. She's a professional chef now, and we started homeschooling when she was in preschool. So maybe when she was 3 or 4, and she's almost 20 now. So we've done it the whole way through.
I just think it's an important distinction because right now we're all homeschooling in air quotes, but it's a different situation. So you've, for 2 decades, you've been homeschooling and
Forever.
and juggling all the things, and you still work with your husband, right? He's still involved in your business, so you do have that experience too of having to balance your relationship in different aspects and different ways. Now, what and I love your story too. I didn't know, we've known each other for a while, but I didn't know your story about Maverick. And I think that we have, it just, the more and more I talk to my speakers, I'm just reminded of how many of us, it's a trauma of some sort that really pushes us into what we're doing.
Right.
And it gives me goosebumps. So I don't know. It is inspiring, and I'm glad that things worked out for the best.
Thank you.
So the presentation,
I was going to say, I just feel like I have a story, you have a story, and everybody has a story. It's not necessarily going to be the most difficult story. My load isn't necessarily the heaviest. And I think sometimes we might get a little tripped up with that. We might think we have to have the biggest story in order to be a speaker, or we have to have this earth-shattering experience to share. And that's not the case. Somebody needs to hear what your message is. Somebody needs to hear what you have to teach. And so I think it's important for everybody that's watching this and listening to this to know that you have something special to offer, and you need to get it out there.
And it's not a comparison with other speakers or business owners. So you don't have to one-up anybody. I like that, because there are some people that have very powerful stories. And when you reflect on yourself, you're like, well, I didn't come from that adversity, or but you still have a story, and it's not minimized just because it's different from somebody else's.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Now, when at the summit on Thursday, let's talk about what you're going to be presenting and teaching to our attendees.
I'm going to teach you how you can get your story and your message and your expertise in front of other people in order to grow your business. And I think we get a little tripped up thinking that it has to be on a stage with a spotlight. When we hear public speaking, we think standing on a stage, maybe like Oprah, and all this attention on ourselves. But there are so many formats for sharing your story and expertise. So I'm going to help your summit participants figure out which is the best format for them and how to do it.
And so when we're sharing our personal stories, how exactly does that impact our business? If our personal stories may not be as clearly connected to our current line of business.
Yeah, sometimes it's a simple story that you're going to tell. For example, at a conference a couple years ago, I was teaching about how to make money with online workshops. And the story I told had nothing to do with Maverick or anything else. It was all about how my husband had ruined his pants the night before this conference I was speaking at, and how he needed $500 for pants. And the way to make that money was through an online workshop. And that was a great segue into teaching about how to make money with online workshops. So you don't necessarily have to have one big life story or some big vulnerable emotional story. It can be something funny. It can be something inspiring. It can be something useful that the audience just needs to be able to relate to. That's the whole purpose of stories. They just make you relatable and help the audience remember what you've talked about. So you don't have to have some big thing. It can be that you are teaching. You can share your expertise. You can share what you have learned, your education. Everyone has some sort of background that they bring into their business, and that's what you're going to share in your public speaking. Stories just help people remember what you say.
And I know you said there's a ton of different platforms. It's not just on a stage with a spotlight. So this training will also be applicable for things like podcasts or webinars or video interviews on Facebook and things like that, right? So anything digital or in person, really.
Absolutely. And right now, the big thing right now is online workshops. I've helped over 50 people figure out how to take what they would normally talk about in person and move that into an online workshop space. So that's really applicable right now, but so many other formats are too. Facebook Lives and podcasts, they're all good options right now.
Well, I think this is going to be hugely valuable. Right now, like you said, we're definitely in a time where we need to be visible. We need to set ourselves apart from other people. I think it's a great thing with everybody being online. It makes it so much easier to attract people online because they're also getting more familiar with the medium. So before this crisis, I would meet people who would ask what I did. And when I talked about being an online entrepreneur or webinars or something like that, their eyes would glaze over, they didn't have any clue. It was a different language. But now even the traditionally employed people are starting to understand
Mm-hmm.
what it's like to work online. So I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great time. And of course, I 100% believe in the power of stories, because that's how we remember things and make connections. So this is going to be hugely, hugely valuable. I hope that everybody who is watching is excited. I hope, and if you're attending the summit at all, this element of storytelling, like I said, it's weaved through every aspect of your marketing and your business. So this is such an important session to attend. You'll be speaking on Thursday, June 11th. And if you don't already have your ticket, you can go grab that at becomeinfluential.com. The ticket is free, so there is no reason not to grab it and attend Carrie's session on Thursday. So thank you so much for taking some time to share a little bit of your story with us, and I cannot wait to see the finished product.
Thanks, Meg.